want me to
Hopefully,
pray?
no.
Okay. Well, I'm on the line here. Our Father in heaven, we're thankful to live in this free country. We're thankful for this town that we live in. We're thankful that we are able to represent our citizens. We pray that we will make good decisions involving our community and our citizens. We're thankful for all that has blessed us with. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Councillor Court. We'd like to call this meeting to order. We would like to welcome Corey McCarthy from Channel 32, and we've got Gunnar Gibb from the Temple City Star. My name is Councillor Brown, and I will be conducting this meeting. We will go to additions and adoption of the agenda. We'd also like to welcome everyone in the gallery. Thanks for coming. We appreciate it. Additions, are there any additions to the agenda? Yes, go
I
ahead.
move to adopt the agenda as outlined.
Thank you. All in favor? Perfect. So we're going to go straight into our delegations. We have Kronen Mueller. She is from the Lee Crest staff, and this is in regards to the animal bylaw amendment. We'd love for you to come up. Absolutely. Thank you.
I don't know how much you know, but up at Lee Crest we have 2 dementia cottages and a main building, and the dementia cottages are a locked unit. And there are 12 residents in each unit. And we would like, the UK has started a project in 2012, and it's called the Hen Power Project. And they have, what they use are chickens. The chickens become actual pets, they live outside, and it gives people with dementia joy. It brings them a lot of joy and decreases aggression. And it's been such a positive thing in the UK that it's spreading in the UK, and we'd like to try it here at the cottage. And we'd like to start with just 2 chickens. And the maximum amount we would, I'm sure it's going to work out great. And the maximum amount of chickens would be 4, 2 for each cottage. So that's kind of what we're hoping to do.
Mayor.
Corina, can you give us a little bit of a sense of the way you intend to house those chickens, and especially end of life of those chickens? Because those were always issues when we had in the past people who wanted chickens. Those were always issues that we heard. How do you house them? How do you protect them from predators that are natural to our area? Because we're still rural around that area. And what do you intend to do when really those chicken
End of life comes.
end of life?
The courtyards are fenced off. They have quite a tall fence. But we want to get a chicken coop. I've already written up a letter for PV Mart and PV Mart in Lethbridge and
Buffet?
no, shoot. They're both on the south side.
Depot. Lowe's or Home Depot, or the one that's further up? Yeah.
One that's further up. PV Mart,
Canadian Tires, or
Whatever.
Princess Auto.
When you're talking, it's
Princess Photo.
Yeah, so I wrote up a letter. We'd like to get a chicken coop donated, and so I'm working on that. And they will be enclosed, so they'll be protected from any kind of wildlife, which the only wildlife I can see getting in there would be an eagle or something,
It could be also,
a weasel or...
well, there are foxes in that area. In fact, in those fields,
6-foot fence.
there are quite a bit of fox that dig under the fence.
Yeah.
And I know that because I've done that in our yard quite well. And so, just to make sure.
Yeah, we'll have them completely closed in. They won't just be running free in the courtyard. Just for their safety, for the residents' safety, just so it's just better for the animal too. When it comes to the time, if they get injured or they get ill, it will be done in a humane way. I'll go through Dr. Merkley and just have him put the chicken down.
All right.
And we'll bury it.
Councillor Bengry.
Corinna, I understand about a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago, that there was a fundraising program started, and the purchase of mechanical cats
Yeah.
were made, and the residents love them.
Yeah.
Now, with that, there's no mess, only the changing of a battery. There's no feeding or anything like that. Why do you want to start this chicken thing over mechanical cats?
Because the mechanical cats don't move until you touch them or walk by them, they'll purr,
And they don't
but not
realize.
all the time. Whereas the chickens, you have them outside, it's better than sitting and watching TV. The residents, when I read the information, it was like having an ocean in your backyard. There's always movement. You're always watching their little habits. Like when they sleep with one eye open. Or we have a lot of residents that grew up with chickens. So with dementia, their past is what brings them back to life. And so that's what these chickens will do for them.
So I have a question in regards to this. So I'm a farm kid. I grew up on a farm. I had chickens. So who is going to be cleaning the coop and taking care of all of that?
And cleaning up after chicken.
I will most likely start to do that. And I do have a volunteer that loves chickens.
Okay.
Someone has approached me because I heard about the chickens, and he loves chickens, and he wants to take care of them. Two
Okay,
chickens.
Thank you. My next question on that is, are they going to be bringing the chickens into the cottage for them to have social interaction with? Like, because everything I looked into on the UK it sounds like an amazing program, but it was hands-on.
Yeah.
And they had farmers that were bringing them in, and they were taking care of them and loving them, and the people were helping in the coop with the eggs or whatever else.
That's exactly what we're hoping for, is that in the morning they'll have an egg that they can go collect, that the two chickens will be part of their life, that they will come inside their living space and be part of their daily life. I mean, in the UK, they even made little clothes for their chickens.
I saw they knitted.
Yeah.
Mayor.
There's one more question, Corinna. Of course, the weather in UK and the weather here in the winter is very different story. I lived in Europe most of my life, so I can tell you about the difference in weather. So what do you do? Are you going to have a heater in that coop?
Yeah, we will. There will be a heat lamp, straw. My manager has chickens, and so she's the one that would know how to keep them warm. But yeah,
because that's an important aspect of housing chicken outside in the wintertime. Right?
And if it got really cold, I'm
You
sure.
could make a box and have them in.
Yeah.
Have you also looked at having people, we have quite a few people in this community that raise dogs. Have you looked at talking to someone like that and having them bring in their puppies on
We
for
have
interaction?
a dog that does come in.
Okay.
It's not the same though, because it's not 24/7. It's like once a week,
Okay.
and
It's just not enough.
yeah, it's
Okay.
not enough.
Okay. Councillor Selk.
You can't have a dog 24/7 of your own.
No, we can't have a dog on site 24/7 because there's allergies we have to worry about. What if the dog gets bit? Just, who's going to clean up after the dog if it poops in the corner?
I think the same questions could be asked about a chicken.
Yeah.
But the chickens will go in their coop at night.
Dog can't go in a kennel.
Councillor. Yeah.
I just
Drew?
wondered about, would there be any health violations with having chickens within the institute, within the cottage? Like if there's food around and there's chickens around, I'm just kind of wondering, have you looked at that?
Our cottages are set up so that you can't go into the kitchen part, so they wouldn't be close to the food. And when it is mealtime, the chickens would not be able to be in there. We would have to put them outside.
Yeah, they might, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Councillor Bengry.
Corinna, chickens can carry quite a few diseases with them, and you're aware of that. If they're going to be introduced to the tenants up there and they're holding that chicken, how are you going to bleach them down?
Not going to bleach them down. We will use hand sanitizer, and they'll have to sanitize their hand before they touch the chicken and after they touch the chicken.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Mayor?
My only other concern regarding predator is that in that area there are feral cat colonies that are being fed regularly by one of the
Yeah.
loving wife of one of the patients in that cottage. So cats do climb fences. and would scare those chicken even in a coop. And that's not too healthy for an animal like that, because they lose their feathers.
Well, that's a good point.
So you may want to kind of look at that issue, because chickens who are frightened have a tendency to lose feathers
Yeah, that's a really good point.
because of anxiety. Mm-hmm. So just a thought. There's a colony there.
Yeah, I heard about that colony. That's a really good point.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time to come, and we will take this under consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along, we will now have Sheldon Rice, and he will be speaking in regards to the taxi bylaw concern and local property concern. Welcome, Sheldon. Thank you for coming. Go ahead.
How you doing today?
I'm good.
I called Richard last week and informed him that I had received email with a bunch of new taxi bylaws that were introduced recently in the town of Cardston. I've already shut my taxi business down here, so I'm not approaching you to contest anything. I just thought it would be worth the time to inform you that the bylaws that you've introduced here are far too stringent for a small town, and had I still been operating when these bylaws came into place, I would have shut down anyway, because it's just not cost effective. If you compare bylaws in smaller towns versus bigger cities, you will see that the higher the population goes, the more stringent the bylaws become in order to protect, obviously, operators and the people riding in the taxis. And the smaller towns have less stringent rules simply because you can't charge as much in a small town to ride around in a taxi as you can to drive around in a city. And of course, all of these bylaws cost money to comply with. So I just thought I'd let you guys know that you should probably take another look at it if you ever want a legal taxi business in your town, because with the bylaws that you're looking at introducing, you're just not going to have anyone doing it legally. Now, me personally, I know because I'm involved in the business previously here. I can tell you that the main reason why I've shut the taxi business down is because I know for a fact that there's 3 illegal taxi businesses operating in this town right now. And every one of them has had a hand in getting their business going by working for me and or renting the taxi from me through stand rent and using it to steal all the customers. And in the end, the phone quit ringing because all of these other individuals that were hired to operate used my phone, my business phone, to basically allocate a bunch of my customers and give them a new number to contact in order to use a taxi service. So there's 3 other individuals in this area that are operating taxis, and they're not doing it legally. And to contest with that, when you're up against 12 pages of bylaws in a town this small, nobody's even going to consider it. So, I mean, it's up to you if you guys are content with the way things are going. That's your business. Just thought I'd let you know that you might want to reconsider the approach to trying to make it quote-unquote safer and better if it's just going to drive it underground, where it becomes even less safe and less controllable. All right?
Thank you.
So it's something to think on.
Mayor just has a question, if that's okay.
Just interested in a comment that you made that before we had that bylaw, there already were 3 underground kind of operation. So that bylaw had no effect no matter what.
You're probably right. It has no effect on the illegal operations. I'm just saying that it's going to affect anyone in the future trying to start a legitimate operation, because the cost of operations, when you're looking at all these, regular inspections and all the tighter restrictions that those bylaws introduce, which of course come with additional operating costs, no smart businessman is going to approach it, right? So that's just what I was trying to point out, right? That it's going in the wrong direction if that's what your intent is.
Thank you.
Well, I have another question for you then. If you know of those illegal operations, should we know about it?
What's there to know?
What
What do
should
you-
we know about it? If you say that you started their business,
I didn't start their business, I employed them, and they stole my
But
business.
it's-
Big difference.
right? I mean, you started them because you had a list of customers.
And so, I know they're
Are you
operational.
comfortable knowing that there are people doing illegal activity in our town?
Am I comfortable with it? Would I be standing here telling you that if I was comfortable with it? No.
I mean, you're talking
I don't think
about
it's
it,
the
but-
right approach, right? But how do you solve it? I don't know. That's beyond my expertise. Right?
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Councillor Selk.
So, Mr. Rice, are you comfortable then lodging a complaint and basically talking to the RCMP or our bylaw officer about
Sure.
what you know? And
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, but
Awesome.
I don't think it's going to get you very far, because how are you going to prove it? I've dealt with the RCMP a lot since I moved to this town, thanks to the Outpost Motel. And it always comes down to what you can prove. And these guys are driving around in their own privately insured vehicles,
Yeah.
and they get pulled over by the RCMP, and they've got someone in the vehicle who is not willing to admit that they're paying for a ride.
Yeah.
That gets you nowhere.
All right. Thank you. Councillor Bengry.
Sheldon, I've been in the automotive industry for all my life. And as a taxi operator, what would your insurance company feel about having a non-inspected vehicle carrying public?
They-
That's why- that's
I'm not
why
sure,
our-
actually. That's a good
That's
question.
why our certificate, our taxi bylaw has been written in the way that these vehicles are no different than a school bus. And those school buses go through stringent inspections every 6 or 8 months or whatever. A taxi must be the same way.
I'm not the right guy to answer that. I'm not an insurance expert by any means, but I've never had anyone ask me that question directly, and I've never passed it on to my insurer, so I don't know what their expectations are.
Thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead. You had a second part.
Yeah, I was also approached last time I was down, doing some T4s and whatnot for the business, that some neighbors had been approached about some plan to expropriate the Outpost Motel property. I'm not the current owner of the property, but I've been in negotiations to purchase the property through a private financing agreement. And that agreement was ultimately settled. We're just waiting on the owners to provide us with the paperwork when I've been informed of this unusual situation with expropriation of the property. I don't know anything about it, but I spoke to my lawyer about it, and he recommended that, to keep it simple, that I just come to town council and request that you guys provide me with some sort of affidavit confirming that you're not planning to do that, so that I can go forward with my business plan.
Okay.
Just so that I've got some sort of insurance policy that this isn't going to happen in the future, because obviously I can't afford to invest in a property that's not going to belong to me in the future, right? So,
Understand. Councillor Bengry.
Sheldon, we could sign a form like that, but it wouldn't be worth the paper it was wrote on, because you're not the owner. You know, and until you become the owner, that's when it should come to this council. But I will tell you this, expropriation of a piece of land like that is not going to happen when we got other pieces of land that, you know, we could develop.
well, I had to Google the word. I didn't even know what it meant. It's all new to me, and the fact that somebody's came to me with this has me concerned, right? I don't know a whole lot about it, or what the government's rights are, or what should or shouldn't be on paper. I'm just conveying to you what my advice given to me was. If I was going to move forward with signing documentation to become the owner, I need to have protections in place that's going to ensure that I'm not investing in something that's going to turn out to be a complete waste of time and money.
Right. Councillor Court.
Several of us have been on council for quite a number of years, and I've never heard of any plan to expropriate that motel.
That's right.
In the last 10 years. So I don't know where you're getting your information from, but I've never heard that.
I'm not going to give you any names because I promised I
I don't-
wouldn't, but
I
I'm
don't
getting the
want names.
information from neighbors who said they've been approached because the firepower they're trying to use is that it's lowering the value of the neighbor's property
Never
in
heard
the
that
area.
before.
and that this is the solution to the problem. This is just what I've been told. I don't.
Right. So just for my understanding, so you've heard from whoever, you've heard that the town is trying to yank that property out?
I was told that they were approaching neighbors, telling them that they would like signatures from them because they want to get all the neighbors together because the
Right.
motel's lowering the value of their property as neighbors
So
and
hearsay.
expropriate the property.
Okay. Mayor?
I will corroborate what Councillor Court has said. It's my second term as mayor, and I was councillor before that.
Uh-huh.
And I can tell you that I was a councillor that fought hard and hard to have everything as transparent, as accountable, as a governance model as we could. That is the way we conduct our business. So whatever you heard, I can tell you, is untrue.
And that's why I'm here,
And for the
just to
public
clarify,
who
right?
will see that on YouTube, I will repeat it one more time. Those hearsays are untrue and are not in line with our code of conduct in this chamber.
Okay, well, that's exactly why I come to approach, to clear the air and make sure that it's not a concern, because, like I said, I had to Google the word, I know nothing about it, and when someone comes to me and tells me something like this, of course, I have to be concerned, right? So
So
I'm just doing my
us-
due diligence.
Absolutely. Councillor Barnes? Yep.
Bengry.
Bengry? Sorry.
Sheldon, the town or the municipal government can expropriate land if a road or an infrastructure is needed or similar things like that, but we just don't expropriate land just to expropriate land. If there's an issue of an unsightly property, there will be concerns there. The landowner will be provided documentation for an unsightly property, and if it's not done within a certain length of time, the town can move in and clean that property up.
Right.
But if we needed a road or an infrastructure or something like that, yes, we could expropriate so much of the property to do that. But there's no big developments or anything like that. It's never come to discussion with that property.
Okay, well, that's all there's here
I've been
to
on
clarify and
council.
get clarification on so that I can,
Did that help
Move
you?
forward.
Did that clarify it for you?
yeah,
Okay.
I just want to make sure I'm making the right business decisions.
Absolutely.
Right.
So were there any other questions you had
No,
for us?
no, that's fine, that's all I wanted to know.
Awesome. We appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, moving right along. So number 5, adoption of minutes.
Go ahead.
Mayor?
Yeah, I move to recommend adoption of minutes
March 5th, 27th.
of March 5th, 2019.
All in favor? Thank you. All right, we will go to number 6, bylaw and policy. A, draft bylaw amendment. This is 1679B, animal bylaw. This is reviewing the amendment related to the delegation in which we just had in regards to the chickens. Jeff, did you want to speak in this?
When we reviewed, knowing what the request was, because Councillor Court had provided some context earlier, we were having some discussion about how could we accommodate it under the bylaw? What would be a way that we don't blow it wide open?
Right.
And at the same time, kind of keep some parameters on both the zoning and the intention, because this is an interesting proposal. So what we looked at is that under the bylaw, we have the ability administratively to issue a permit for certain purposes. We currently do it for grazing, for example. So we issue a grazing permit for livestock in a certain zoned area. So the amendment we drafted said that we could also issue a permit for therapeutic purposes, meaning it's defined as the treatment being under the supervision of a qualified healthcare practitioner for patients. in public and institutional zoning. So we tried to keep it bound to that zone for a use.
Right.
So we throw it out there simply. You can't make motions on it tonight, but we put it together for you to consider that may be a way, if you choose to accommodate the request, that we could try it with that amendment.
Mayor.
I think the amendment is interesting and fitting for the purpose of that institution. I'm still concerned that there need to be something for Lickrest to address regarding those feral cat colonies, because cats and fences, cats are not deterred by a fence. And I wouldn't want the chicken to be howling because the cats are around the coop, right? So, although I like the intent, I really think there is great merit with therapeutic animals. There is a problem there for me with that feral colony, especially because it is fed there on a regular basis.
Thank you.
So they're around there.
Councillor Barnes.
You know, my grandfather raised chickens, my uncles raised chickens, and we used to go and help with them. And I saw lots of cats around the barnyard, but there wasn't a cat that went near a chicken because the chickens chased them away.
Yeah, but they're cooped up those, right?
That's the same difference.
Story.
The chickens are very territorial as well, and they don't like cats, and they'll go after them.
Good.
I worry more about the cats being hurt than anything. I'm not worried about the chickens at all.
Hey, that's
my feeling.
That's a yin and a yang.
Yeah,
Good for
there you go.
Councillor Bengry.
I think this is a discussion that we need to have as a council a little bit farther into the meeting.
Well, I think it's an okay discussion to be in public.
Okay, my concern with chickens up there are skunks love chickens. And a skunk will burrow underneath a fence in a hurry. And that's all we need is more skunks in town.
Go ahead.
I guess I would pose this, you're looking at a lot of logistical potential concerns, but from a pure governing the issue point of view, you can probably let some of those detriments of it take care of themselves in some ways, right? Like, if you're constantly replacing chickens and smelling skunks, this may not be the program that you're keen on anymore. I don't know that.
But the bylaw is good.
There's some natural consequence there.
Yeah.
I have a concern in that I understand this, and I think it's a beautiful thing, and everything I've read up on it I think is wonderful, and I'm all for supporting the seniors having a positive daily interaction with animals. But the part that makes me nervous as a taxpayer in town is we start this. Does it open the floodgates to my neighbor now having chickens and I'm smelling it? I understand with the point of we have to take it through council and we have bylaws in place for these things, but it's just the more people I talk to about this, that was their very first question. Councillor Court, did you have something?
I was just saying this addition of the bylaw takes care of that
Fix it.
problem.
I know.
No.
Anybody else? Yes, Peter.
I've just
Councillor
been
Gerry?
watching the news, and there's a lot of people with depression and
Right.
emotional issues.
It's a pet thing.
And I know in Calgary, they've approved permits for special circumstances, so I don't think we're too far off of that. My concern with this, and it has nothing to do with the bylaw, is the safety of the patient and health issues that could come up, especially if they're running around and doing whatever they want to do in the cottage. I mean, again, it's a therapeutic thing, but I guess that's something that Lickrest will have to figure out, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if there's health violations that would go on with chickens inside the facility, but
They would have to get that approved, though, would they not? Within
I
their
would
own
assume
building?
so.
Was
Yeah.
wondering.
Councillor Bengry?
No.
Oh. Anybody else have any other questions in regards to this?
I could have further
Yes.
discussion with one of the home care persons that works out there. They would probably know a little more about the legitimates of the legal things of it. I can bring that up with him and with the assistant manager happens to be
Fair.
related too. So.
Jeff, I just would like you to help me understand. You have an amendment there, and I think it's a good amendment of that policy. Do you want a recommendation to accept that at this time or not?
That's up to you. If you want Councillor Court to maybe just do a little bit of discussion, I can simply put it on your next agenda, and you can deal with it how you see fit there either way. It's totally fine.
Should we?
Go ahead.
Not dealing with this bylaw, but dealing with it in general. Should I be recusing myself from this because I do have a daughter-in-law that's assistant manager up there?
No.
I would suggest you don't have a pecuniary interest
There's
here.
no money to be made.
Yeah.
One
Councillor
egg or
Bengry.
2 eggs a day is not going to make you rich.
Councillor Bengry.
Yes, Madam Chairman, I'm prepared to make a recommendation that we turn this over to our administration to have some further research.
And what would you like research between now and Tuesday?
Health standards of the DAL, if we can contact the DAL and see if it's under their health or whatever. I don't know. I think we need to have more information.
Councillor.
And I'd like to make a recommendation that when we get a chance that we accept this amendment to the bylaw, 1679B.
Yeah, but you have a
Yeah,
recommendation.
so you have a primary motion on the
Sorry.
table.
Okay.
We have
And,
the first one on the table.
yeah.
Any questions in regards to what Councillor Bengry said?
I think we've talked about it quite a bit. I'm not sure what we need for further research. But I think that's
I'm
gonna
just
do it.
concerned that, along with Councillor Drew, that there are some health concerns there, and that's my concerns.
Okay. Mayor?
My point of view is, this is a governance piece, so it's a bylaw piece. How the cottage handles it has to be within their own health regulation, and we cannot mix the two together. We have a governance piece that we need to approve or reject as a recommendation. The rest will be up to the cottage and the managers of those cottages to get the approval from the health department to follow up with their proposal. Ours is to accept pets within a limited zone. So personally, I think the recommendation should be, the vote should be on the recommendation to accept the amendment. So we accept it or we reject it. And as to the rest, it is up to them to be compliant with their own health department under which they exist.
Councillor Court, did you have something to
I'm
add to
agreeing
that?
with the mayor.
I'll withdraw my recommendation.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead
Councillor
with
Selk.
yours.
So, I thought, Mayor, you're still not concerned about the cats or anything. So in other words, what I'm getting at is, as administration has suggested, the process of natural selection will take care of it. They'll either go
Sure.
through a number of chickens and decide this isn't a good idea,
Yep.
or they'll have skunks that will come in the neighborhood and they'll also decide it's not a good,
Right.
Yep.
or everything will be fine, and it will be a program that's helpful for the residents.
Right.
Is that what I'm
So,
understanding?
Councillor Selk, bang on. Mine was to raise awareness for them to deal with that issue, but as I'm in total support of the idea of creating that environment for those people, and the rest will be in their court.
So Councillor Court, do you want to bring it forward again?
Yes, I would make a recommendation that we accept the amendments to bylaw 1679B, the animal bylaw amendment, or the animal bylaw.
Questions? Seeing none? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, moving right along, we're going to go to 6B. This is bylaw 1678. This is the taxi bylaw. This is review in related to our earlier delegation. Mayor.
Personally, I think the bylaw has been put in place is robust and needs to be robust. If there are underground taxi system it would be up to our bylaw officers and to the RCMP to deal with that issue.
Absolutely. Councillor Bengry.
I make a recommendation that bylaw
No, we
1678,
don't need it, it's already approved.
taxi bylaw, stays the same.
Okay.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Need to vote on it?
All right, it stands as written. So we will go now to 7, other business. Jeff, was there any other business?
There wasn't.
Okay, so
This one, Mayor.
6.
questions. Let's go to our correspondence.
Did I miss a 6C on here?
It's been,
It was
Okay.
taken out of the agenda.
sorry.
Excuse me, looking at two different things.
Okay, so 9A. So this is a letter that we received in from the Curdston County. I'm just going to pull it up. So this was a letter of support from the Curdston County in regards to our council recognizes the positive economic impact of a 24-hour border crossing at Carway Pegan and wish you all the best of luck. So it's a letter in support for us to go ahead and use. I think it's fantastic. Councillor Selk.
My only
Yeah, I know.
qualification on this is that the request from the town was that there be a monetary consideration, that they share in the costs of the CARES grant. So I'm a little perturbed by this letter.
Okay.
Because there is, just to let everyone know, it says, Councillor Levitt moved that administration draft a letter of support for the town of Curdston with the condition that there would be no implied financial commitment at this time.
Just at this time, that's what I get out of
Time
it.
of the letter for submission.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Mayor, go ahead.
I just couldn't recall when we sent the request, was there a figure attached to the grant?
No, because we
Okay, all
don't
right, so
know.
that explains the response.
We don't know the scope of the study. So if you want to glass half full it, that potentially at the time of the, if the grant is awarded and we have quotes, maybe
Okay,
there's
yeah.
maybe there's a window.
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. If we did not request a figure, how could they have, I mean, they could have said in principle they support financial help, but they didn't.
Okay, thank you. So moving right along, we've got B, Curdston Rotary Performing Arts Festival Board. It's just a letter of thanks. Sorry,
I'll
Jeff.
speak to that really quick. Jill
Awesome.
donated a couple of things for their auction.
Thanks, Jill.
What did we do there, Jill? I forget.
It was a 10-punch pass to the pool and
Awesome.
2 rounds of golf.
Perfect.
So
Thank you.
those weren't ones that came to council, so I should have given you that context that you did
Perfect.
donate something.
We did great.
Yeah.
Good for us. Jill, you make us look good. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to C, Jason Cripps, Alberta Economic Development and Trade. This is a response to letter. Mayor, go ahead.
No, I think Councillor Selk should be
Oh.
pleased that there is a window of opportunity to at least have a meeting face-to-face with someone.
Agreed.
And regarding the trade
after
corridor,
the
so Councillor
election.
Selk, maybe you need to work with administration to try to see that that meeting gets going.
Yeah.
Want me to make a motion that I'm happy, or?
Please don't make a motion of it.
I'm just gonna-
But I must
Make a
say,
joyful noise.
considering previous comments from Minister of Transportation, it is a little bit of a change of tone, which is rather interesting.
Just as a, I guess, I don't know if it's a point of order, but we made a motion back in November, December, that I would attend a meeting in Edmonton.
That's right, and that's your opportunity.
So I would suggest we just move ahead with that motion.
Well, that's exactly right.
Sounds good.
That's him.
Thank you.
Awesome. And there was also the Agrodome wanted to say thank you to this council. Their Their fundraiser for their hockey tournament was fantastic, and they had amazing support this year. It's their second year, and they're just thrilled with the amount of money that they made. So thank you for council. Thank you to council for giving them the ice time.
Did
Because
they
that
give you a
money,
figure how much they made? Yeah.
I do not know that yet for sure.
We had, if I might, there was
Yeah.
10, I had a team.
Yeah.
I was on a team, I think we had 10 teams.
That's what he said.
And it was $400 team entry fee.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're super excited about the amount of money because it goes to Heritage Days. If
Right,
the public
right.
should know that that money goes back into Heritage Days. Jeff?
And just as a kind of another silver lining, there was only a couple of local teams, all the rest were from out of town.
Which was
So they ran
fantastic.
for the day, and
Awesome.
we had
Nice.
a couple of teams, I think, from Standoff and a couple from town, and the rest were from out of town.
Awesome.
Fun
Fantastic.
tournament.
Okay, we're going to go to 10. Go ahead, Councillor Bengry.
I haven't seen
I'll
10.
make a motion that we go into closed session.
And
Thank
that's
you.
under FOIP
Yes.
16(1)A and B.
Correct. So we would like to thank you all for
Yeah,
being with us. All in favor?
thank you.
Quick one for you guys there.
Yeah, you can enjoy the rest of the evening. Good for you.